Four more Sweet 16 matchups on tap for Friday. Let's look at the South region where Auburn will face Michigan. And of course, things are going to get started with Ole Miss and Michigan State. Trotter, I want to start right with that first game as you get a look at the Midwest region here as well. But let's talk about Ole Miss and Michigan State, Trotter. What do we need to see for Chris Beard's squad to give Tom Izzo's squad a run for their money here?
This is a really awkward matchup. Ole Miss loves to play small. They'll play Jamin Brakefield at the 5. They'll get Dre Davis at the 4, and nobody's been able to play small against Michigan State this year because they're so good at rebounding. They just crush you on the glass. They every possession matters. Tom Izzo gets them, all dialed in on the glass. So I'm just really fascinated by this. I think Ole Miss's defense, no middle defense, is kind of a staple of Chris Beard's his era. It makes you shoot over the top. That's not a strength of Michigan State this year. So Jaden Akins, Jace Richardson, when they get those open threes, they got to knock them down. But I think Sean Padula is an absolute dog. And lead guards against Michigan State have been, tortured. This defense is so good against lead guards all year. But Padula he's just wired differently. Big time winner. I think I'd lean Ole Miss in a slight upset as long as they just don't get bludgeoned on the glass.
All right, Chris, tell me, give me the counterpoint here, because I assume you're picking the Spartans, but maybe you're with Trotter.
Yeah, I'm certainly picking the Spartans here. I think the team is just too well-rounded, too many pieces. I love Sean Padula and what he brings to the table, just fearless. Malik Dia inside, the transfer from Belmont and Vanderbilt. And you mentioned Jeremy Brakefield coming off the bench, doing a tremendous job. The fact that you mentioned, Trotter, that they're small is the issue. And I believe that Jace Richards, even though he only scored the 1 point, the 2 points last game that won the game, that Akins, they just got too many guys that are willing to, as they say, the wolf pack be the group and not worry about one particular person. And by the way, they got this guy on the bench named Tom Izzo, who's looking to hopefully win a championship, since the Big Ten hasn't won one since 2000, if you can remember that. But, the last guy to beat Tom Izzo was Chris Beard. When they played, they beat them when he was at Tech. So this will be an interesting matchup. He certainly knows them. But as I said before, you mentioned Trotter, the rebounding is key. And, Mark Adams, who used to be the Texas Tech head coach, who's now back with Chris Beard, he's the architect of that defense. And that's when I said Carolina wouldn't get 70. And then look what they did the next game as well. It's going to be interesting if this game is in a phone booth, right, and it's in the mud. Ole Miss may have a chance. I just think that the size, they just don't have enough size to contend with Michigan State.